Quick question. If someone gave you a blank piece of paper and asked you to write down 3 completely different lives that you can possibly live, how would you feel? Do you feel excited? Or do you feel like those unsullied soldiers from Game of Thrones when Daenerys sets them free? Just stand there and wonder, what do you mean by different lives? That's exactly what I want to talk about today, because I think Odyssey Plan is brilliant, but I also think so many people, especially Asian women, might secretly struggle with it for a very specific reason. And more importantly, today I'm going to show you 3 tricks that can make this exercise work so much better for us. Let's go. So, Odyssey Plan. For those who have not heard about it, this is an exercise from the book Designing Your Life by 2 Stanford professors. And the idea itself is actually genius. It's basically asking you to build your life as if you are building a product. And at the very beginning, the ideation phase, they ask you not to build one future plan, but build 3 different versions of yourself in the future. So 3 parallel futures, 3 different versions of yourself. The idea really is to help you realize, wow, my life is not fixed. I actually have different options. I did this exercise recently and I actually have it right here. And to be honest, it was shockingly hard. Not because the exercise itself is hard and not because of the drawing part, but to be honest, drawing is pretty hard for me too. I think my 3-year-old niece could probably do a better job. What got me stuck is the blank space in my head, especially when I think about the idea that what if my current life wouldn't work? My brain froze. Because I actually don't have a problem planning, I have a problem imagining. And that is actually not a personality flaw, that is a cultural conditioning. Here's the thing about growing up as an Asian woman. Many of us were not raised to explore life, we were raised to optimize it. And here's the difference. Exploring says, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going, but I'll probably be fine. And optimizing says, I know exactly where I'm going. I'm gonna pick the shortest route and I will be there on time. And to be honest, many Asian women are amazing at optimizing life. We were taught to be efficient, avoid wasting time, money, or energy. And let's be real, our ancestor invented compass, the actual tool that's designed to stop people from wandering around lost on the ocean. And then here comes the Odyssey Plan. It basically just gives you an empty boat and tell you that, go get lost, have some fun, it's probably good for you. Well, as an Asian woman, my instinct answer is that, okay, where exactly are we going? What is the timeline and the budget? And the most important question, is this boat tax deductible? So when Odyssey Plan asks us to imagine 3 wildly different lives, we don't feel free. Most likely, we feel uneasy. And here's the deeper part. Many high-achieving women hit their 30s or 40s and suddenly realize that destination we've been striving for our whole life actually never ends. I thought graduation was the destination, and then I ended up entering a corporate job right after it. And then I thought promotion is the destination. Here I am, 15 years ago, I'm still climbing that ladder. There are somehow always 5 levels above me. I thought having kids is the destination, but now I'm driving my kids every weekend to different activities, stressing about competitions, exactly just like my parents did. I thought buying a house is the destination, but no one ever told me that taking care of a 50-year-old house is actually a part-time job. You see, there's always another benchmark, another milestones, or another thing to optimize before we were allowed to stop and take a rest. And that is exactly why Odyssey Plan is so important. As difficult as it is, it reminds us there are other possibilities in life. So it's not that Odyssey Plan does not work for us, there are just a few modifications that we need to do before making this exercise really clicks for us. Trick number 1, start with the wild version first. Well, the original Odyssey Plan has 3 versions of life. The first one is the current version, and the second one is what if. your current life doesn't work. And the third one is the wild card. The problem? The moment I started working on my realistic plan, I immediately trapped myself back into the efficiency mode. I started thinking, how am I going to balance family and work? How can I get the most out of this 5 year? And once your brain gets trapped into that optimization mode, it's really hard to get back out. And that's why I think Asian women should really reverse the order. Start with the wild card first. Starting with the unrestricted version kind of forces you to crack open your imagination mode before all those realistic concerns comes in. And honestly, the wild version is usually the most valuable one because it reveals something so much deeper. It tells you without all the limitations, there's something deep in your heart that you secretly want more of. Freedom, creativity, visibility, meaning, adventure, rest, connection. The wild version tells the truth before practicality comes in and negotiates it away. Trick number 2, start with identity before action. Most planning start with what do I do first, and then what do I do next, and eventually in 5 years, what do I build up for? If you take a look at the Odyssey plan, it's designed almost the same way. It encourages people to work from left to right, from year 0 all the way to year 5. It's logical. It makes sense. That's exactly how people accumulate our hard work and achieve something. But that's the mindset for project management. It's not the mindset for transformation. Transformation happens at some level much deeper. Real transformation happens with change of identity, not the change of your profession or your execution mode. For example, if you are now working for Amazon and to design a different life, you want to work for Microsoft, that's a change, I give you that, but that's not a transformation. Transformation happens in the order of be, have, then do. Let me repeat one more time. Be, have, and do. Because the moment your identity changes, your decision changes all along. A woman sees herself as creative, make different choices. A woman who believes she deserves peace builds life differently. A woman who sees herself as brave tolerates risk differently. Identity drives action, not the other way around. So when you work on the Odyssey plan, instead of asking yourself, what do I want to do for the next 5 years? Let's start with the end in mind. Who do I want to be in 5 years? And for this woman you always aspire to be, ask the questions, what kind of energy does she carry? What does an ordinary Tuesday look like for her? How does she spend her time? What matters to her now? What no longer matters? And then work backwards from there. What does it take in 5 years' time to get you there? Trick number 3, don't build the future alone. This one sounds simple, but I think it's really important. Here's what I constantly see from my family, my friends, and my clients. A woman did a reflection exercise exactly like this one, and she had a revelation. She reconnects with a version of herself that she actually wants in her life. And then 2 weeks later, she talks herself out of it and back to plan A. Sounds familiar? The problem usually is not clarity. Deep down, many women knows what they actually want. The problem is fear. Fear for judgment, fear for disappointment, fear for uncertainty, fear of becoming someone unfamiliar even to yourself. And honestly, that fear makes sense. Of course, it's human. Of course, it's so much easier to stay inside the life that everybody has already recognized. But you only live once, my friends. If you actually want to take actions and bring this version of yourself to your real life, here's something more you want to know. Fear is afraid of exposure. And that's why I do believe that do not do the Odyssey planning alone. Do it with a trusted friend, a community, a small group, maybe a life coach, someone who can truly reflect those possibilities back to you. The moment you say those dreams out loud, they become real. Sometimes all we need is another person saying, yeah, I see that version of you too. And all of a sudden, the future does not feel like impossible. So to bring it together, Odyssey Plan did not feel Asian woman. We just came into this plan with a whole suitcase of cultural conditioning. We were taught to optimize instead of explore, to build our life around expectations instead of identity. And all these are exactly the things that this exercise asks us to unlearn. So if you're sitting there with a black worksheet feeling a little bit uneasy, you are doing nothing wrong. It might actually mean that you are standing right at the edge of something important. You know, the Chinese invented compass so that we would never go too far off the course. But maybe some of the best parts of your life are waiting for you in the area that the compass never pointed to. So, if this episode resonated with you, I would love to see which part landed deeply. Please leave a comment and don't forget to share this episode with someone you would like to do this exercise together with. Thank you, my friends. This is Off Script. I'm Erica. We'll see you next week.